Let's turn on the PC. All right, hold up. Yo, just turning on the PC. Got home, had my sushi bowl. Let me invite you to co-host, and I'll tweet out in a second here. Okay, move this. Move this here. Cool. We're gonna go. How's it going, man?
Yo, what's up? Dude,
I just
you're Mario and
You're Chet.
I'm Chet
Chet Long.
and we're doing live coverage.
You remember Chet Long? That was
Yeah.
funny. I don't wonder. I wonder if that guy's doing pilot stuff now since he was a pilot. Oh, you know what I was watching? Do you know the anime One Piece?
Yeah,
The
but
anime that never fucking ends?
no, I know, but like the live adaptation or like the actual
Yeah,
anime?
I've been watching the live adaptation. It's actually like it's cringy, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Like it's actually endearing. You know when like there's different types of cringe. There's like cringe where they're trying to not be cringe and it comes off as cringe. And then there's cringe where they're like purposely being cringe and it's endearing. This is purposely being cringe and it actually works. I was surprised. I don't know. Have you watched it at all?
I've watched the first episode. I think we should change the title to something.
You can change it. Change it where clickbait
See,
it.
what should we call it? Creators League.
Creator Creator League and then all an exclamation point fails. Whatever gets the people going. Oh, they want me to do a
Yeah.
Sea Dog. My editor just said, "Hey, you should do a Sea Dog video today." Okay.
A sea dog?
The Creator League thing. Yes, I'm going to record today, and I'm doing typing with one hand. Doing five space right now. All right. Also, I'll tweet this thing out. Give me a second.
Yeah. Yo, somebody invite Bryson so he can clear his name. Because I know Bryce is a good guy. So, and he was defending it like to the end yesterday. So, I want to get his opinion for sure.
Well. What I don't know is what he actually did there because I know eFuse. I've met them in real life. I've had meetings with them IRL. Actually, I think I might have been the one who introduced them. I mean, I think Bryson knew who they were, but Bryson was at the Mythical Games party that I was at. I said hi to Bryson, and then I had them meet. Or no, maybe yeah, it had to be because my buddy Lance, who works with me, was still working at eFuse. I invited Lance and his buddy, who ended up being the CEO of eFuse, Matthew, right? Matt Benson. He's a Forbes under 30 guy. And I invited them both, and I brought them, introduced them to one of my investor friends. Lance knew my investor friend, but Matt didn't. And then I introduced Bryson to them. I wonder if I was the meeting that kind of started it. Maybe not. I mean, he's rep by Gary Vee, so Gary Vee probably has a whole thing. If wait, am I the reason this failed? Did I do that? It might have been me.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely your
Like, is
fault.
it possible this is my fault?
It's always your
Well, I
fault.
know that.
But
I
I
know
think
it's
that's the
always my
question.
fault, but I remember introducing them to each other. Am I the butterfly effect of NFTs?
Yeah. Yeah, you are.
It is what it is.
Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit, right? Because I think so. I don't know. Did you see the tweet that I sent you about OTK's co-founder?
What, Asmon Gold? No. Or
No, no,
tip
no.
out. What is? Let me see. Let me see the. You sent it to me, but I just got back.
Yeah,
Let me.
read
I'm
it.
gonna pull it up right here. Tips out. I thought it said
Yeah.
dicks out. Aware of the crypto thing, we were told there was no NFT crypto component, but looks like that may not be the case. Waiting for responses to our emails, phone calls, like others. Oh, yeah, this is done for. GG, no, free. That's my response. Good game, no rematch.
Yeah. So, I mean, it might be OTK trying to get ahead of it, right?
They're definitely trying to get
But
ahead of it. But so I asked my buddy, and I won't say his name, but I asked another buddy about this, and they're like, all of these people absolutely knew. They all knew. 100% because it has to be in the like either one, this was very scammy and they had no idea, which is possible, or two, they've known, but they've known for at least 6 to 8 months and they already signed the contracts because the contracts are pretty steep.
yeah,
And this is someone who has very intimate knowledge on the whole matter, especially because they are very aware of how this other. So I found out what blockchain they're using because I asked around. Um, this was before they put it
it's
out.
near. Everybody knows it's near.
Well, apparently, because I've known about this thing for a year, about a year now. I just didn't know which.
Yeah.
So when I was told about it, they were in negotiation with Tim the Tatman. I guess Tim the Tat, and here's why I think they people knew about it because Tim the Tatman would have done this deal, but he also doesn't like NFTs. So I wonder if everyone here knew, and Tim the Tatman said no ahead of in advance with his team.
Yeah, but Tim plays Dead Drop.
Yeah, but that's his boy, right? It's not the same
Oh,
thing.
okay. So when it's your boy, it's okay.
Yeah, dude, you don't. Well, right? You have a code of honor with the homies. It's different. You don't have a code of honor with an industry, just the homies. And then like Doc and
Oh,
Tim are very close.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Sorry,
Yeah, so
just had to open
let,
up my
let's
kombucha.
okay, so let's think through the cost, right? So this is from personal experience, by the way. Mr. Beast was charging $250,000 for a mid-roll 5 years ago. All right, this is from
Sorry, what?
personal
Say that one more
experience.
time. How much?
$250,000, quarter million, five
For
years
what?
ago.
30 seconds?
I don't know the exact timing and like deliverables attached to that, but
Probably
that's like
probably less than 30 because his videos are about six
this
to
was
ten
5 years
minutes.
ago.
So
This was 5 years ago, right?
wait, 5 years ago? That's high even for 5 years ago.
Or something. Yeah, it was like when I yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 5 years ago because that's when I was working at the streaming company. Um, so that's how much he was charging, which is crazy, right? Because think about how much he's grown in the last couple of years. So let's just estimate like Mr. Beast probably charges $2 to $3 million minimum to do a advertisement with him, right? And like clicks, I've done deals with him before in the past. I think he's also grown a lot bigger. He doesn't say some out of pocket shit anymore,
Nah,
so he's
clicks
more
would get
family friendly.
clicks is under Gary V's group now, so like they're making him do it because Clicks and I'm pretty sure Clicks is their new client because Clicks and Bryson are in the same agency.
Yeah. So like considering some of these costs, right? Like I estimated that the talent alone would probably be worth around $5 million. Just that alone. I'm not counting like the time and materials that it costs to actually produce this tournament or event throughout these weeks, the streams, the content, and the backend infrastructure and everything else that's needed. Right. So 5 million alone just for the talent costs. So how much did Nier give them to run this event?
Well, I would say probably close to 1 million, if not more, just because I have some knowledge on things I shouldn't know about in terms of like if you're like Near was like a Solana alternative at the time that they were giving these grants. And Near was going to allow certain people who were building deals like this an option to immediately switch into USD or USDC. And they were paying out an insane amount of money because they were considered the second to Solana in terms of functionality and in terms of their market at the time. Now, no one really cares about Near, but at the time they were, and they had raised an extreme amount of money. So they had a lot of capital, and I would bet that this money was granted and transferred into USD during the bull or near the end of the bull sometime early this year or late to middle last year. This was probably exchanged because I'm telling you, I know I've known about this for over a year now. I heard about this right after the Mythical Games party. Like I knew about it very quickly.
But if they've been working on this for over a year, like how does it get to this point?
I'm telling you, what happened is these people fucking knew about it for the most part. They didn't realize the blowback, and they don't want the smoke. And also, OTK is a multifaceted organization. Like the only super outspoken person is Asmongold, and Asmongold doesn't look at every deal because he's streaming at like fucking 4 in the morning like a degenerate. Right? He's sleeping most of the day, so he's not the one looking at contracts. Um, and like there are times where you have a group of people who sign things and not everyone agrees. And I what I wonder is what their clause is for backing out, because when you work on something like this and you pay for a Mr. Beast ad, this is not cheap. It's like you got the 5 million for the creators plus Mr. Beast ad plus hires plus tournament operations, right? eFuse is a huge. I mean, I don't think people know what eFuse is. So, like I'm very intimately aware of how eFuse works. Like, they have the official Activision and Epic Games contracts for tournaments. Like, these people spend a lot of money. Matt Benson is a very good CEO, and he's really young. They raised a lot of their money from special family offices in Ohio. They're a Midwestern company based in Columbus, and like to do what we're doing, what they're talking about doing is not cheap. And this is after they acquired esports.gg. So about a year ago, eFuse acquired the handle from Twitter called @esports, and there was a group that made esports.gg. um,
Yeah, I know
I know,
Christian.
right? Fun fact about Christian: he was on what's that fucking show? What was the show where?
Bachelor,
Yeah,
right?
he was a bachelor. He was on The Bachelor. Uh, how weird is that? Now he works for a couple of people in Vegas, and he worked at Twitch. I don't know if he still works at Twitch, but now he works at Twitch. Uh, does he still work at Twitch?
I don't know. He was a CRO at Method for a little while too.
Yeah, but he went on. He worked for like Twitch corporate to do like biz dev at Twitch, and they're
Yeah.
for the Twitch
That
creator
was the
events.
funniest little
Uh,
triple back. Like that was a 720 right there.
what?
He works at Twitch. Does he work at Twitch? I think he still works at
Well,
Twitch.
okay, because dude, with esports, people work. Dude, esports is like people get traded out for orgs every 3 months, and you don't know where they're at. Like people, if you ever find an employee who works at an esports org longer than a year and a half, they're like grandfathered into the organization. This is how it works. So it's a shock when people work at an esports org for longer than a year. Um, so yeah, the bottom line is this is a very costly endeavor, and one that could cost eFuse a significant amount of money if it fails. And they have very good lawyers. Like I can tell you, they have very good lawyers. There's no way there would be a clause in there where people can just freely back out. It might even be on a creator basis. It might be like certain contracts are different for certain creators, right? I could see them giving a clause out for Mr. Beast because it's fucking Mr. Beast and like he owns the deal. I don't know how you're going to do that for agencies like OTK or what's the other one? Optic Gaming. I don't know how that works.
I was curious about that piece because we know that Hex is at least passively or
They like
tangentially,
NFTs. They don't give a shit.
yeah. And so I'm curious of like Scump was obviously part of the announcement. I'm curious if it was Optic Gaming more broadly or specifically Scump.
I would
Well,
use yeah, Hanta, you go.
typically these organizations are agencies for creators, right? Like that's how they act. They bring deals in, they negotiate on behalf of the talent exclusively work for them, do deals for them, and like for example, let's hypothetical, right? Optic could have just said, "Hey, Scum, we're doing this really cool activation where your fans can get membership and they can vote on this
I
stuff."
mean, let's be real. He is
Right?
the face. Like, it is Hex org, but like Scump is the face of Optic.
Well, they don't have any other better creators
He is the
because
goat.
they put all their. You know why they put all their agency money into Halo Infinite, and they lost money doing that. So, like they like were Optic was very big in the idea that Halo was going to be massive, and so they put a lot of time into that, into building that. Same thing with the Call of Duty League, and so basically franchising killed a lot of these orgs because they put so much time into the franchising business that they
And money.
forgot that they forgot that they had to build a lifestyle org, and that's where 100 Thieves is sort of surviving. Is like They had enough money to diversify their brand into sports drinks, fucking Fortnite games, whatever it is. Yeah, it was just partially their fault, but also the fault of Activision. Activision has really hurt the industry.
I think the cost of the franchise model to these orgs is largely understated.
Well, I know how much they cost because there's a team in Overwatch that has now gone out of business, and they offered me the entire company and team for $12 million. We said no because, and they considered that a lost sale because they spent $25 million on the slot. So they were like, this is a half off deal. I'm like, take another half off, or maybe 75% off that 12 million, and maybe we'll talk. I'm not buying an Overwatch League. I've played the game. I know what's going to happen here.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
got
didn't
the
work.
same offer for one of my other companies.
Was it one of them in
No,
Texas?
huh? The teams? No, it
Was
was just
was
one
it a
team.
team in
No.
Texas?
Dude, you can't say that.
Why? I
It's
didn't sign
because the
anything.
teams are regionally located, so everybody
I
knows what
didn't
the
sign
Overwatch teams
anything.
are.
I didn't sign
Yeah,
anything. I don't have to say. I can say whatever the fuck I want. I signed no agreements. I could say the name right now. I
yeah.
won't
Then
because I'm
say
not a
it.
dick. But I'm
That's what I
saying
thought.
I didn't, bro. I didn't sign any agreement that says I couldn't say anything.
Okay, listen. If you're enjoying this space, please retweet. Let's get some more people in here. Where's Bryce? I know he's a good guy. I
He's
want him
not.
to defend
He's
himself.
not. He doesn't give a shit. He's probably not in the mood.
I mean, to his credit, he's probably awaiting the team's response to a lot of this. The fact that he's been as active on Twitter about the whole situation, I think, is credit to him. But I'm
Yeah,
very eager to
but
see what the team's response to all this is.
Best voice acting 2023.
yeah, but like, why is somebody who's talking about just being part of like the narration of the video,
Yeah, is he like the
vehemently
Roger Goodell
defending
of
it?
the
No,
canon?
I do believe he even posted a little while ago that he was involved to some degree.
No, but I
No,
mean
no,
like wait, I
no.
mean but
We
like
know
voice
he's
acting is
involved.
not like
We know he's
voice
involved,
acting is
right?
just a gig. So how deep is he in? Is it like is this his company or something? Which is not likely because eFuse is the one building it all.
Yeah,
And by the
eFuse
way,
was the one
eFuse
that
has
paid for Mr.
they
Beast's
paid for all of
ad.
it. They paid for all of it because they also own the tech for mynt.gg, which is their own version of a trading marketplace for gaming NFTs. They own that. It's theirs. So I don't know what Bryson did other than voice act. I'd like to know. Did he advise?
Yeah,
Yeah, I have no
like,
idea. I'm just
is
saying
this?
he was definitely involved beyond just the scope of voice acting.
Well,
Yeah,
he should share what that is because no, I have no idea.
like what I'm trying to understand, right, is like he was like defending it so
Hey,
much,
what did you
right?
just say?
And
You said
like,
he was like eFuse has their own marketplace.
yes, eFuse in Web
Yes,
three.
they do. eFuse is in Web3. They just don't want to say
Wait,
it.
what is it called?
Mint,
Oh, Mint.
MYNT.
Yeah, that was built on the Near platform, right? That's what they received the grant for. But you said the
Right.
marketplace. Is Mint the marketplace or?
They haven't opened up the marketplace yet, but if you read Mint GG and go through their documents, the idea was this would do really well. You'd have these passes, and eventually you could either trade them or collect them or transfer them in ways on the eFuse Mint marketplace. That's basically what it reads.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sorry, go on, Hanto.
Oh yeah, so I was just saying, like, Bryson was like defending it very, very hard, right? Maybe to the level of paid actor. Well, I mean, he's obviously paid and he's voice acting. But what I'm trying to say is, like, how does it get to that point of like, we know how Web 2 gamers are with NFTs and how they think about NFTs. And I know because a lot of Web3 creators say this bullshit, which is like, hey, we're just gonna hide it and nobody will know and then it'll be all dandy, you know? Um,
Dude, everyone says this. Everyone's like, blockchain, like you just got like no one needs to know, okay? No one needs to know about the blockchain. It's just gonna naturally work. And by the way, I actually agree with that sentiment, but that's just not how gaming people
Well,
are.
but I think there's a differentiation to make there of like abstracting away, mention of crypto and NFTs is one thing, but the possibility of not disclosing, let alone lying about it to partners, like I think that's the key here. If like there's suggestion that there was some level of uh, like break of trust, let alone contract here. Um, someone's lying, whether it's the creators
It's
lying,
definitely Sea Dog.
whether it's
It's definitely Sea
yeah,
Dog.
whether it's the creators lying that they were unaware that it was blockchain
You
backed,
can't dress like your Men's Warehouse and tell the truth.
or like whether it's just the fact that they didn't read their fucking contracts, like that is a very real possibility. But yeah, there's
Dude thinks he's like an anime character in One Piece. What's the guy? I've been watching the real time action once, and now I'm fucking obsessed with it. I'm on the episode where they get to the guy who wears nice suits and can fight like a motherfucker. I don't know his name, but he thinks he's that guy. Always wearing these fancy suits on stream. Crazy.
Yeah, so it's like somebody has to be lying because you can't go a year with this and then he comes to realization a couple hours after it's live when people are saying like, "Hey, this is actually NFTs," and then people find Bryce saying that, and then people finding out like, "Oh shit, this is on year,"
Do you think
and
Bryce shouldn't
then
have said anything? Just narrated and not talk about how blockchain's the masses. And I bet Bryson's probably the reason this happened.
well, I mean, like, there's benefit in Bryson saying that because he gets credibility for onboarding people to Web3, right? But
The
like
onboarding part did not work.
that definitely did not work. But we know Web2 gamers just hate NFTs because there's been so many rugs, right?
Well, I want to
And
maybe it did work. Maybe it's just like the people who are like the loudest are not buying. But like I don't know how many sales they've
I
made, but
do
I bet
think
a
it's
lot.
too
I
early
mean,
to say because like
a Mr. Beast ad is it's not early to say if the creators back out because it's dependent on the
well,
creators
I do
staying in.
think it also depends on like
And OTK is saying they might back
one
out.
of the 8 backing out is one thing. Like if this cascades and more end up
There's
backing
more
out,
coming. Tips out. Tips out, who's the co-founder of OTK, said they're waiting for their emails to be responded to.
yeah, so like the co-founder of OTK literally said that they told us about crypto, but they said that it wasn't being used. So, which could mean if I interpret it, it's like eFuse has a crypto company, right? Like they are making Web3 tech using NFTs or crypto or blockchain, and they told those to their partners. But the thing that is in his post was we were not told that crypto or NFTs would be used for this. Right.
Oh well, then that's bad. Then they can break the con. If that's true, then yeah, that is fucked. And this will be it probably in the next 24 hours. Ludwig, Moist, and Asmon will all make videos about this, and then it'll go viral.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like the thing that he said, I'll read it right. Aware of the crypto thing, period. We were told there was no NFT/crypto component, but looks like that may not be the case, period. So he explicitly said on a tweet that he was not told that this would be on crypto or have crypto or NFTs. Right. And it's like, so who's lying?
bold strategy, Cotton.
Right. Is he lying to try to get away from that shit? Or did the creators of this tournament or event not say that there would be what people would be buying are NFTs on chain? Because like I don't blame Nier for this at all. Right. The
That's
reason
not
is
Nier's fault. In fact, Nier actually did pretty. Whoever's their BD did a solid job because this was a good idea.
yeah, because like what Nier got out of this would be
A lot of
people
publicity.
a lot of publicity. Okay. But I think what they would actually get out of this is like a lot of people would make accounts on Nier and they wouldn't know. But the problem with that is because they don't know, they don't give a shit about the Nier ecosystem.
I mean, it's
right?
the
It's
Reddit
like,
Trojan horse for Polygon, right?
yeah,
The
sure, it's a
difference is
Trojan
Reddit
horse,
was
but
our
nobody
the
gives a
difference.
fuck.
Yeah, and one, nobody gives a fuck. Two, people on Reddit were already degenerate, and three, people on Reddit also have no money.
Well, and
So
obviously
like, who
there's a
matters?
clarifier there of like the deception. The potential deception is a big key to this.
Yeah,
There's a total
yeah,
inverse correlation. The more you use Reddit, the less money you actually make in life.
okay, no, but it's not a deception thing, right? It's like you're trying to abstract away so much of it that people don't know about it. And because they don't know about it, how do you actually get value out of the people out of these customers that are coming to you through this large-sided chain, right? It's like, okay, listen, you're either a B2B company, you're either a business to business company or you're a business to customer company, right? And Starbucks is a business to customer company. Uh, Near could be a business to business company, right? Polygon could be, and I think they're doing a really good job at being a business to business company, right? Because if I was like a Web2 company, I was like, oh shit, how do I use blockchain? I would go to Polygon and be like, hey, can you guys help me build this out? Right.
Polygon's
But
B2B biz dev is incredible.
yeah, so like
Well, Ryan
my
Wyatt just left, so let's wait till next quarter.
Fair.
so my point being is like you have B2B companies or BDC companies, right? And like eFuse is a B2C company, I think, because they do a lot of production for like events.
eFuse, I wouldn't say they're B2C. They do. Well, they're B2B2C, which is the hardest thing to do. They're a two-sided marketplace because So I'm intimately aware of how eFuse makes money. I guess I'm gonna see what I can say or can't say. They make their money on contracts a lot like an agency, but so they make their money from publishers. So they'll get a special deal from like Epic Games or Activision Blizzard or EA, and they're like, hey, we're coming in, we're gonna take care of all this esports shit for you, so you don't have to, and we're gonna do it cheaper because if you hired and did this all internally, you'd spend more money. Basically, like an agency. In many ways, they are an agency, but they've been doing a lot of experimentation on consumer products. Like there's an eFuse app, and there's the esports GG site, and there's the community based tournament builder. And these are things that are different from their contracts. The reason they're doing it is that contracts, while they pay well, they're also can be very risky because the minute a contract ends, so does your revenue. So they're basically building both sides of the business in real time. But if one collapses before the other one is kind of like well set up, then there's a lot of problems. That's basically what could happen.
Yeah. So I was part of the 40% that got lost in the sauce, like Frank said. But my point is like, how does Near get value? Because in this deal, they don't actually have anything to do with the customers, right? Unless they get a revenue split or something.
Transactions, baby. They probably have royalties.
No, because it's soulbound. The
Well,
passes are soulbound.
then why work on a marketplace where you could trade or speculate on shit? What's the point?
Yeah, but
And
that's the
also,
eFuse product, right?
yeah, but if it's built on top, well, then then I don't understand the point of Near, because if people don't know that they have wallets signed on, the only thing that would make sense is if Near was scraping for data, then that would be it.
Yeah, so it's like, how does Near, who paid at least $5 million for this, just on the talent fees, not even the production fees and cost of goods, how do they get value out of this?
I don't think I don't think they paid 5 million. My bet would be they paid 1 million or 2 million,
No,
and I
no.
would bet you think they paid the whole thing.
I mean, not maybe not at once, but I can definitely
I
tell
would
you they
bet
paid more.
well, sure. Okay, maybe they paid more, but I could also bet that eFuse already booked sponsors for this event, like pre-booked them, because these are the top creators in the United States. So someone on the BD team of eFuse is going out. They're going to go make the deals, and then they're going to pre-book them, like just book that revenue. You don't think that's happening?
Yeah, but that's like that's
Oh, I just
irregardless
saw
of
your DM. Never
Near,
mind.
right? That's
I
irregardless of Near.
just never mind. Based on what was just sent to me, based on what I just saw from certain individuals, I am wrong and Hantal is right. Okay, well, fucking shit, that's crazy.
Um, like, but no, my question is still like, how does Near get value out of this deal, right? Because you want to take out so much of that blockchain aspect and like try to blue pill or red pill people into the space that you don't even mention blockchain. Like, where do they get the upside? Like,
Only thing I could think of is data scraping, because if they're not getting a royalty and no one knows it's a Near wallet or anything, and I would bet that it's a data play, because there's no other way you make that money. Or it's like a baby shower or whatever where they do the big reveal at the end. Like, by the way, this is on Nier, and then like they just kind of have a coming out party.
Yeah. So like we're at this point where a lot of the different parties are confused. I do think what's his name? I don't remember his name, the first guy who spoke out.
Men's Warehouse.
When's what?
Sea Dog.
He likes to
That's where
wear
he
suits
shot.
for Men's Warehouse, so I call him Men's Warehouse.
Yeah, somewhere from wherever he shops, and Jonah dislikes it and thinks that discredits.
No, I just don't
them.
like that he acts like he's better than everyone else because he thinks he looks good in a suit.
Yeah, so
I've seen his videos. He does good stuff for people, but he acts like he's bigger than he is.
yeah, like my feeling is that he just capitulated. He just got a lot of shit, and his community was like, "Bro, you have NFTs, you're promoting NFTs," and then he's like, "Oh shit, I got to get ahead of this before I get canceled," and I show up on a CoffeeZilla video on
What's
getting.
CoffeeZilla only gets you on video if you scam. There's no scam here. I mean, would you? I mean, maybe there is. I mean, is there a scam here that I don't know? Is the
Yeah.
scam potentially not telling people it's crypto? I guess like that could be a scam. Maybe. I don't think CoffeeZilla is dealing with like billionaires who fucking sell courses. Like he's going after like Grant Cardone or some shit. He doesn't care about fucking esports. That's not CoffeeZilla's audience. I don't think that's it.
Do you know why he got popular?
CoffeeZilla.
Yes.
Um, I've only watched his videos for like a year, so no.
He got popular because of Save the Kids.
Oh, yeah, I did see that video, but that was a scam. This is not that. They're not selling tokens.
No, I know, but I'm saying like that's within his realm. Saying that esports is not within his realm, I think is
I think he only goes for scams that are like 10 million plus EV scams.
Well, no, and I think coffee. I mean, yes, there is the overlap of the amount of scams that happen in the space that have attracted CoffeeZilla's attention, but I think he's also wise and savvy enough to know that not everything in crypto and NFTs is a scam.
No, he actually does like a lot of this blockchain stuff. He cares less about the tokens, but there's literally dude, it was great free advertising. But he took a picture of this SEC grayscale thing and how the SEC lost again, and on it is a screenshot of him logged into a premium account of Masari. So like he knows the space. He likes the
Yeah,
space.
well,
He doesn't
because
have a
like
problem
I
with
mean,
it.
he does a lot of anti-crypto content, but it's the application of the tech that he takes issue with, not the technology itself.
Yeah, he likes the blockchain stuff. I invited Bryson up here if he'd like to speak and give his take since he's intimately involved. If not, no problem. Hang out and vibe out.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
Yeah.
this is what I have to say about Bryce. Like, I think Bryce genuinely cares about Web3, right? And I think Bryce really is trying his best to onboard people into the space. But I think there's somebody in the background lying, and because Bryce tried to defend it, he's taking a lot of shit and he's eating shit right now.
Well, Bryson's up here. I think it's best to hear it directly from Bryson. Do you want to talk about? Well, so for one, Bryson, all I know because I've known about this for over a year, and I don't. Did you have this conversation after the mythical party or was it before then? Do you remember when I introduced you to Matt and the whole thing and Lance and all that stuff?
I can't remember if it was before or after, but yeah, I mean, like, I've hinted that they're gonna do something incredible. Of course, I never disclosed what was gonna happen, but it has been a year in the making. So, getting to the point where, oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting to the point where everyone could do this, like, getting here and having the openness of gamers being willing to put their brands out there, and then also uh, the Mr. Beast thing, which is crazy. I think that, like, I don't think people realize
That
how
was pretty
insane
fucking
that is,
cool.
and I don't
That
know
was
how
pretty
they brokered that, but
$3 million probably.
it was incredible. So I mean, I think that, like, it's interesting, man, because I woke up this morning. I'm in London So I woke up, and like 20 minutes before I woke up, I saw Sea Dog's post, and I'm like, I don't work for the company that's doing it. Of course, like I'm associated, I'm involved in Creator League, but I'm like, damn, there needs to be like some sort of, conversations and things that are well beyond, my reach, as I am more so on the content side and helping build out what the league looks like and being a bridge of like real information for the gaming world that is you know, entering the Web3 space by purchasing these passes. So from my perspective, it was like, okay, I'm waking up, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing a bunch of propaganda around it, a bunch of propaganda around like assets being on the blockchain and people, saying, oh, well, we didn't have proper knowledge. And to be completely honest, I have no clue. I haven't chatted with any of the creators, so I'm not the person, nor is it, my job to be able to speculate on whether or not they were adequately given enough say to be able to say, oh my God, like I know that this is, deeply embedded with blockchain and NFTs. I think that if you know at a high level that you're aware that there's a crypto element and you're thinking about data being stored on chain, if I'm not mistaken, any data stored on chain is tokenized. If it's not like an actual, like, it's some sort of token. So, I mean, however you want to spin it, NFT or whatever you want to call it, it's still data being tokenized on chain. But from the perspective of people being aware or not knowing what their, I guess, like what the inner workings were as in terms of the creator Sea Dog and the OTK guys. I have no clue what was said to them. It's not like my direct focus, and I had nothing to do with that. So from my perspective, focus very heavily on how do I share the openness of ownership and technology around changing what esports looks like at a high level from the Creator League. So that was very much like where my focus is. And I still stand by it. I think the Creator League is an insane idea, and insane in a good way. I think it would
Well,
be
I don't think
incredible
you
to
did
see it
anything
happen.
wrong.
No,
Yeah,
I,
yeah, I
I
don't
think
think.
that there
Yeah,
needs to
no one
be
thinks you did
like,
anything wrong.
I think it's definitely like when I look at where things are in terms of, oh, well, a couple people have come out and said, oh, well, I didn't know what X, Y, and Z was. I think like that's going to be, I mean, who knows what that leads to, or how that affects their contracts or things happening on that front. Like I said, again, I can't speculate or give you any like details on it because at the end of the day, it's not my place to talk about like how they were communicated to or like what happened on that front. All I do is focus on what I can control and where I was, tasked to provide a strong effort.
Yeah.
Can you
So
hold real quick? My one question. So first off, I think you did a good job. I'm confused about what your role actually is because I think people on Twitter only know that you're like the narrator of the video. Like, what do you actually do with the Creator League? We're genuinely interested.
So a lot of what my role entails is, of course, like narrating and creating content. But I mean, we were kind of looking at it almost as like Bryce is the bridge or the commissioner in helping run the league from like a messaging standpoint. So getting out, explaining it from the Web3 angle, being active and helping out what the community looks like in Discord, providing sentiment and overall advisory to the team that's creating, the team behind that's fueling this, which is eFuse, and helping them in that front. So my role is kind of like a bunch of different halves, but we kind of summed it up to like this like unofficial official title of like, oh well, Bryce is going to be like the commish of the league and like helping that aspect.
Wait, I
However,
was right. Hold on, Hunter. I said Bryson's like probably the Roger Goodell of the Creator League. I fucking said that. Did I
yeah,
not say that
because
10 minutes
he's the
ago? Dude,
subject
I'm a
matter
fucking
expert.
oracle. I'm an
Okay.
oracle.
Okay. So I wanted to touch on something I said briefly. So about the data part, I think that's like fucking stupid as an argument for Web2 people because the reason why credit card companies give you all these benefits is because they want to know how you spend your money as a customer. Like your bank, all these like stores. I don't know if you guys have like these stores where they give store specific credit cards in the US, but the reason they want that is because they want to know how you spend money and like how you manage your money because if they have that information, they can directly target you as a customer, right? And that's a transparency that blockchain gives, but it's like web2 companies have been trying to monetize that shit for decades, right? But Bryce, what I did want to ask is like because you're not actually purview to what happens on the back end of things like this, and you're like a huge um proponent for transparency, like where would you stand if the co-founder of OGK was telling the truth about like they've gone a year through this thing and they didn't actually know there was NFTs?
Well,
if
so there's
you're
two things. I mean,
comfortable with that.
some of them may not have been, you know, involved from the very beginning. They've been building it for, I would say, a year, but they might have added them a couple, like 4 or 5 months ago. Who knows, like when their contracts were actually like derived? I don't know. Like I'm not on the operations side to be able to like make an assumption on that. But from my perspective, dude, I was not in any conversations with any of the creators, so I can't give like a fair assessment of whether or not like the information that was provided to them, like they might feel like, oh well, I haven't gotten enough knowledge on that thing. The only thing I can focus on is like the part where I'm being tasked to do my job, which is like, oh, you're a content creator coming in and helping out on the side of messaging and providing feedback, providing suggestion, providing comment, and just helping bring the glue to the league around like the importance of ownership on chain. But I mean, I think that transparency is important at the end of the day. So whether it's announced, like whatever comes out of it in terms of a solution, whether things keep going, I hope they do, because I think it's like a great idea, or whether something changes and like it kind of breaks down. I don't know what that's going to be, but I think that at the end of the day, a level of transparency definitely would have needed to be set. And I think that so far so good in terms of, I think eFuse from my perspective has always been transparent with me and given me ample information regardless of like what was happening. Like I knew what chain it was on. Of course I'm Web3 native, but I knew what chain it was on. I know how they were building it. I know the process behind how they did their entire UX UI and like how they crafted it out to make it very seamless for people to go through the entire process. So for me, I feel like they've been incredibly transparent in sharing what they've been doing, and I'm thankful for that. But I can't speak for every creator because, dude, I had no knowledge of where they stood, no knowledge of like their process with other people. I can only speak on like what they have been when we've chatted.
Yeah, because listen, like I've worked and owned creator agencies in esports for like 5+ years in Web 2, right? I've worked with creators. I've worked with some of the people that were on that list that has been promoted as part of the campaign. But it's like, and as a seller and as a partner manager, like you typically talk about to your talent about stuff that either helps the deal or doesn't help the deal. It's like there are some things that just like the talent doesn't need to know about. Like they're not going to care about it, but they just don't need to know, right? And there are some stuff which the talent should know, and it's stuff that will affect their audience. It's like if I was to tell like, hey, this person, you need to promote this platform, right? And here's the ad you need to do for the platform. But the platform turns out it's like a gambling platform. Like that's the kind of shit you need to tell your talent ahead of time, right? But it's like where in that communication chain did this break off? Which is like that's insane. It's like you probably have a partnership manager from eFuse talking to the talent agency of this talent because none of these people read their own emails. OTK has partnership managers. The person VDog or whatever that has United Talent or something, or whatever.
Everyone's under United Talent. It's just like it's kind of like you walk into LA and they're just like, all right, well, here is your overpriced chai latte, here's your Tesla, and here's United Talent agency badge. It's kind of what happens.
Yeah. So like, how the fuck in that process does that happen? Or like, oh, by the way, I know your audience hates NFTs, not because of the technology or whatever, just because the scams associated. So they're super allergic to even the term of hearing it. And the audience will like try to cancel you for just mentioning it. Like, where along the process did that get left out? Right. Which is like, did one of the partners managers lie to the talent so that they could get the money and deal flow? Like, was the check just so large? Like, did they just like, hey, here's $1 million, let's make it happen, or like here's a blank check, whatever you want to ignore the blockchain, let's make it happen? Like how does that happen? Like what part of the communication process was that in?
Well, and I think
You're asking someone who has no clue, unless you're just saying it like
No,
right
no,
on
I'm
the
not
open.
asking you. I'm not asking you, Bryce. I'm just stating that as like that this is what the background is like from somebody who's worked in that space, right? And it's like, how does that happen?
Well, and there's so much he said, she said at this point with no clarity from the
Did you just assume their gender?
They said.
What they
They
said.
said. They said.
All right,
There you
you're
go.
getting canceled off the VGF. No. So, okay, does anybody remember? Shit, what was the last time when something like this happened? Was when a bunch of players in like a Overwatch league or some shit was getting scammed, and everybody was like, hashtag release the contracts, hashtag release the contracts, right? That is like the only thing that can actually show what happened in this
Oh,
situation.
what it happened last week? Valorant. They were like, "Oh, the guard fucked up. The whole roster done for." And then everyone went to social media is like, "Nah, that's not cool, bro." And they reversed the decision like 4 or 5 days later.
But I think Hanto's basically saying that short of the contracts being released, it's going to continue to be they said, and people not necessarily taking accountability for it. If it's in the contracts, it's kind of like, hey, regardless of to what degree you knew how much blockchain or NFTs were involved, or whether or not that was disclosed in creator conversations and things like that, or every conversation. Um, if they didn't read their contracts that explicitly state that, that's like an entirely different story.
Well, I mean, if it was actually like some messed up stuff, and it was well, I don't know. I have a gut feeling some of these creators knew what this was, and they just didn't think they would get flack for it. That's my hunch. I mean, I've dealt with first of all, I've done deals with eFuse, and they're really by the book. Like they're very good people. Like I've worked with them. Like I've given them money, so I've actually done deals with them. In fact, we paid them probably at close to 6 figures when we were working on Smiles, which was the original NFT project I was advising before they did whatever they're doing. And working with them, they were very good at their job and they were very on top of things. I mean, they had a few mistakes here and there with management, but in general, it was a very good working relationship. I'm gonna take the bet here that some of these creators actually knew what was happening, but they looked the other way, thinking that their audience wouldn't know. And I think I don't think each creator knew. For example, I don't think Optic Gaming or people within um, Asmon's agency necessarily knew because agencies don't always tell their creators things. They just do the deals because the creators are so busy making content they don't deal with the deal making. But some of these direct creators, I would not, I do not necessarily believe for now until Sea Dog shows proof or evidence that he did not know about this. I think what happened is Sea Dog is known as one of the most anti NFT people on Twitch and on YouTube. I think that has probably hurt some of his deal flow opportunities because he took such a strong stance. I think he felt that this one was so obscure that it would not be a big deal. And I think because his what happens, the problem is like the creators don't actually control their own content. And when you get to a certain size, you don't necessarily get to decide what content you make. So if you become Sea Dog and you grow during the pandemic because of how against crypto you are, and your fan base shoots through the roof, well, it's like, all right, well, that's the bed that you made. So now if crypto ever does come back and there is a lot of money, you can't go make content doing that because you've built an audience where that is going to give you negative press and it'll actually hurt your following. You're now stuck based on the audience you make. Same thing happened with what's his face? This happened recently. Jake Lucky actually on Twitter. Jake Lucky has made a ton of anti-sports betting and anti-betting content. What does he do last week? He gets a fucking deal with Thunderpick, which is an esports crypto betting company. And of course, everyone in his comments were like, "You're a fucking two-faced." And of course they're gonna think that because he literally, dude, this Jake Lucky literally incited it. First of all, I like Jake Lucky and I've talked to him before, but also to a degree, at least today, I'm feeling fuck Jake Lucky because he's fucking with my CS:GO hobby. He had several videos shared about this asshole in Europe who didn't like CS:GO skins, right? And I agree that there's points here where it should be banned for like age gating stuff. Like I agree with that stuff. But he amplified the shit out of that video. And the minute that happened, Twitch had to enforce new rules around CS:GO hobby shit. And so it hurt a lot of people. And then 2 weeks later, he's like, by the way, I like esports betting. Yeah, no, you're going to get some flack. Like, you're going to get the heat. So if you're going to build an audience around hating something or going against something, you're gonna get heat when that money comes back and you take that deal. It's just how it goes.
Well, so
But you know what's
Go ahead,
interesting
Bryce.
about like that whole situation is even if you go into the Discord, a lot of the people that were in the Discord that were a part of like bought the pass for Sea Dog, not only did they like the idea, they think it's like a really cool spin on like the traditional esports model, and they want to be involved. They also like the ability to be able to vote. And one person in there even like they called it, it's like, oh, fan control football. But of course, like once a tweet goes out, it's like, oh, well, I'm pulling out. Then like people react very harshly. But I truly think that even with the little bit of backlash, and it's always going to happen anytime you're making something new and something that's like completely against what people are traditionally thinking. Even with that little bit of backlash, the support initially was still overwhelmingly positive from both sides. Even the people who are like, "Oh, well, I'm in here just to get my Feastables bar, but these are actually like some pretty cool perks. You want to play Fortnite?" And people are like in there talking about jumping in games and all that. So it's like interesting to think that pulling
Okay.
back based on your community, based on like, oh, well, I didn't know this thing. It still goes back to whatever the conversation was that they had with eFuse and what that looks like. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And maybe it's not even something we see openly, but I do expect that we're going to like get more information over the next coming days.
I'll tell you what I think could happen. I think that so eFuse is a content creator business. Like you can call eFuse an esports tech company. They can call it a tech company, but at the end of the day, they're an agency. Because almost everyone in gaming is an agency. It's not just because that's their label. Because when you're built working in YouTube or Twitch or Twitter, your job is to get creators to push their content towards your product. If you're not the creator itself, so pretty much everyone in gaming is an agency unless you're either making the game or you're the one making the content. Anything in between, you're an agency to some degree or an advertiser. So go on,
I was
Honcho. Yeah.
I have a tangent. I was
Yeah, do
so
your thing.
I haven't bought a pass yet, right? But I was thinking about it just to get Mr. Beast chocolate because it's not available in Canada, I think.
Dude, Mr.
So
Beast chocolate's like fucking $10. I actually thought it was a good deal. I'm like, it's
yeah, that's
basically
what I'm
$10 for a
saying.
pass because
Like
like,
it
It's
was actually a pretty
subsidized.
good deal.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like free, but like I
Oh
didn't
wait, you're
get
gonna
it
do it?
because
Wait, you have to get it on video though. If you buy a pass and you get the chocolate, can you make a chocolate review video?
yeah, but
All right,
hopefully
sorry,
they
go
can
on.
ship to Canada. Yeah, like the value of that was like actually pretty decent. So I was actually thinking about it, but like I had a feeling that people were just gonna talk shit because of the blockchain
Well,
aspect.
so I'm curious now. I think best case scenario is that there was transparency into all this, that all of these creators opted in, knowing the facts. Being that that may or may not be the case, what is the best case scenario to come out of this? Like in my eyes, I hope it is perceived as a teachable moment, that like some conversations can be had with some of these creators to maybe help dispel some of the misinformation that is broadly in and around the use and leveraging crypto and blockchain and NFTs within gaming. Bryce, you as commissioner, an unofficial official spokesperson, I'm curious if you had mentioned in one of your tweets that like you haven't had any conversations with some of these creators. I'm curious if you're hoping or looking forward to potentially having some of those conversations, facilitating some of those conversations, because obviously now some of these people have come out as less than favorable or keen on the idea of blockchain or NFTs being involved. Uh, but I think that a lot of that is responsive. It's reflexive of their audience reception of this, not necessarily their own opinions. Um, so yeah, I'm curious where can we go with this to where it does become more of a teachable moment and continue to be embraced, because I do think the idea in and of itself is dope.
Yeah, I think, the good thing that eFuse has on its side with like Creator League is the thought that one, values there, like what's being built out is something that is actually like very strong from the perspective of branding, actual perks and benefits. But I do think that like, I mean, if the opportunity came about, we're like, all right, let's sit down, and like all the creators wanted to sit down and like go deeper on it. A lot of it is just the pure knowledge around, and not even just how, oh wow, this is how the blockchain works, because like that's boring stuff. But reprogramming and helping people understand that just because something is blockchain native doesn't make it a scam, because at the end of the day, they've seen like multiple scams happen across the industry. I mean, whether you go talk about the phase stuff, and then, I Show Speed and all these different like creators who've kind of like made the world of Web3 very taboo and like disgusting. And that's where the narrative got to where it is now, where it's like, oh, well, the trend is to just rag on something that is beneficial, even if it's cool, it makes sense, and people are actually interested in it. So, I mean, I'd be very open to having those conversations. I'm more interested in kind of like waiting and seeing what happens in terms of like, at the end of the day, all these creators, I mean, they have had significant talks, conversations, I would say contracts. They have contracts involved with eFuse. So, I mean, that stuff takes priority, and seeing where all of those takes go, and seeing what type of messaging eFuse comes out with. And if it does come a thing where like, hey, Bryce, we want you to jump in a call and like go deeper on like, not the aspects of just like, oh, well, this is what an NFT is, but more so around like what makes this beneficial to the community, and like how to message that in a way that doesn't come off as like this cringe fest of like buy low, sell high, 100x gain, scam, rug pull NFTs. Like, I have no problem doing that, but I think it's very much going to like be predicated on like where things go from here, and what official messaging eFuse or Creator League and eFuse provide once the time comes. But I do think there's like benefit in having those conversations.
Well, and I want to throw out the caveat and asterisk of, from my understanding, you are not the relationship manager. You are not the person that facilitated these agreements. So
I'm
it's
not,
well beyond the scope
of
your responsibility. So like, I do give you a lot of credit and love for like how outspoken and transparent you've been in support of pushing, dope use cases of the tech. I do think that like in and of itself, the project has potential. There's a lot of good things about it. And so I did want to throw that out there, because it's obviously not your job.
So I have a question for you, Bryce. Why do you think dead drop is okay and this is not?
Say that you said, why do I think dead drop is okay and this is not?
Yeah, to the community.
Like from the perspective of like transparency and like how they talk about passes and stuff.
No, meaning like, how come Doc's community isn't like, oh, fuck Doc and what he's doing, but this thing is getting a different type of hate?
Oh, it's because like Doc as a whole decided he was going to put his balls out there and stand by what he believes. Like there was a post that went viral where he talked about like the benefit of like dropping into a game and then you collect this super rare asset, and like it went crazy viral. And I mean, he got some backlash, but at the end of the day, it's like he's stood on what he believes, and like he's creating a product behind it. Even if like dead drop fails and it's like, oh man, like the game never gets as good as like people thought. It's like the fact that he was bold enough to like stand for something that he chose to be a part of and take accountability for that. There's a lot of value in that. And people who watched you for a long time are not just going to like turn their backs because you're building something if there's value associated with it. And you can see the value in dead drop. No, it's not a perfect game. It's like super, super early. But at each stage, the iteration and the value is there. So his community is standing behind it, and he's not alienating anyone because he didn't make it all about the blockchain. He just made it about jumping in and trying his new game. You don't even need the pass to try the game or play it. It's like, they don't sit there and tell you that, okay, well, if you have a Midnight Society account and you got one of their NFTs, guess what? That NFT data, well, that NFT is being stored on a custodial wallet by Stardust for you. Like you don't see any branding about
By
that.
the way, I was gonna say, sorry.
Like
Sponsor
they used Stardust,
plug.
didn't they? Am I?
This space is sponsored by Stardust because they still pay me, and I am one of their main creators. So thanks, Xat and Bryce. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah. So like, I mean, whatever the case may be, you don't see Doc parading and dead drop parading that, hey, guess what, guys? Your founders pass, which they call it a founders pass. So we've already seen this before where people are like, you create value, and you don't sit there and you just and like call it an NFT all day. But they don't call it that. They just call it a founders pass, and they don't even tell you where it's stored. It's just like, oh well, you can claim it from your wallet on the dead drop screen, but I mean, it's stored in a Stardust wallet until you either move it into your wallet or somewhere else. So it's like, for my thing is like, when you look at the conversation, and of course, like, I don't know the conversations that the Creator League and eFuse have with these creators, but if Dog, for example, let's say he did have the right conversations and he actually does know more than like he's leading on to believe. If he stood on it and said, yes, I know that there is a blockchain based component to this, but I think the league is a massive improvement on gaming because it provides ownership and changes the models of esports and business that we haven't seen working for quite some time across multiple franchise games. Now we're giving an opportunity for fan controlled ownership, voting rights, characteristics to be involved in rewards in the ecosystem of actually making money by supporting your favorite creators in this brand new innovative league. And they truly made it about your creator, your community, your call. We wouldn't be having this conversation right now. His community, yeah, some people would be a little bit pissed, or some people would have a little bit of backlash. But if the value is there, it's being distributed, and people can see it consistently, no one would be complaining. People are complaining because at the end of the day, these creators, the ones who have spoken out, feel as though they might not have received the necessary communication that they needed. And that goes down to like the educational side of like, what were those conversations that were had? Again, nothing to do with me on that front. And I hope that at the end of the day, the Creator League can continue. But it's all about having the knowledge to be able to stand on what you are making yourself a part of, in my opinion.
But by the way, the doc is definitely making his community happy because I own one of his NFTs, so I just checked how they're performing. The floor price, which I guess doesn't matter regardless, but the floor price is still 0.2 even in a down market. Like, that's pretty impressive. But what's more impressive is they're listed in unique owner rate. There's only 0.5% listed, which is actually really impressive for like a down market right now. More impressive, their unique owner rate is 94%. That means less trades are happening because people actually want to own the damn thing, and that means that at least that people are holding one even if they trade more than one. They're holding one because they actually want the benefit of retaining a Doctor Disrespect pass. So good on them. They're doing a good job. So we should shout out people who are doing a good job.
So before we go to Alpha, I think the one thing that we can fault eFuse or whoever was making the deals on this for is that they did not find the right creators.
Well. I almost had a fucking stroke saying "well" twice. Which ones? So Dog for sure was not the right one because I don't even know him for gaming. I know him for like just shit talking and commentating. Like, I didn't know he was that deep into gaming. Mr. Beast, I think, is definitely the right one because people love buying stuff from Mr. Beast, so that makes a lot of sense. Optic Gaming, I think, is definitely the right one because I don't think everyone in esports hates NFTs because most people who are in esports appreciate the fact that they need to make money. so, so I think Optic Gaming's correct. I think OTK probably was not the right fit. Which ones do you think weren't the right fit? Oh well, Bella Porch. I didn't even know she played games. Why Bella Porch? What was that about? Can someone, like, who has the inside baseball on how they got Bella Porch to do this?
May I comment on these creators in general?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, just something I've noticed while negotiating with these agencies and looking at the Web2 talent in general is that almost anyone is willing to do Web3 if the price is right. So they can take more risk if it's justified with the price they're getting. And it's a sad reality. Like most of the biggest creators might not actually hold like standards to other than like how do they get the most out of their brand, and they're willing to risk it, but they also usually have a backup plan for situations like this. Like obviously they are not alone doing all of their deals. They have multiple deal flows, like Hantal mentioned earlier, multiple agencies probably doing deals for them. And I don't know how much time individual creators take on deals even as big as this, probably. Mr. Beast, almost 50 million views on the video with the shout out. And I'm eager to see where the Creator League goes. It's been interesting listening to your conversation, and I just think it's going to keep happening. Creators will abuse the fact that Web3 is willing to pay a lot for integrating the technology, even if it's like not on surface, if it's underneath the hood. we are going to have to pay like premium prices to convince some of these big creators, and they can be quite greedy, knowing that it's not like straight up beneficial for their audiences unless they are like Doc or some other people who have gone to Kick. Kick is known already now this early from accustoming a lot of creators that are willing to bend the rules much more, and their audiences might not be as resistant as Sea-Dog, for example. I do agree on your latest point on why...
I just looked up, by the way, real quick. I just looked up Sea-Dog, all of his socials. The last game he played was chess, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Bloons TD6, and Terraria. And the only content he's making is him going to Denmark, running a marathon on a treadmill, and him with a bunch of Japanese women dressing up and playing like Comic-Con thing. Like, this guy is not meant to be doing Gaming Creator League. I don't know why he was even picked in the first place.
Okay, so let's talk about Friend Tech and how people are saying like
No. Please don't make me.
I'm not transitioning. No, I'm not transitioning, but I'm just gonna tell a story. Let me get to my point. I'm just trying to work there, right? So before Friend Tech, there was a lot of other platforms, right? People, I don't know if you know about it. People have said Rallycoin, right? And Rallycoin was supposed to be a creator coin. And they actually came from Web 2 gaming and tried to onboard a lot of different creators and teams in Web 2. And you know who launched a coin with Rallycoin? Optic Gaming. Yes, so 2 years ago, they released a coin called Optic on Rally.io. And that shit went to zero. I'm reading this through Reddit because one of my good friends in the audience who doesn't want to come up told me about this. So I'm just reading it right now. But it went to zero. So, I mean, yeah, they definitely have crypto experience before. So I've just read about this.
Well, I mean, when you look at the echelon of like people in and around Fwiz, like you look at Nadeshot, you look at Hex, you look at even Mr. Beast. He's a huge crypto holder and CryptoPunk owner, not widely popularized. I think it's only a matter of time until Night Media makes their transition into something involving Web3, NFTs, crypto.
No. Let me tell you why you're wrong there. So I did a whole research thing on Night Media for one of my investors. They're in the fund management business. This NFTs and crypto is small peanuts for them.
I mean, they make enough money.
So,
they make enough money as it is.
no, you don't understand. They make their money building a creator LP. So like how they're doing it is they get the biggest creators on the planet. That's all they care about. They don't want to get small people who have like plus EV 20 million subs, like the Speeds and the, what's like Kai Cenat. That he's getting these people. They make a ton of money from other ancillary things like movie deals, chocolate brands, you name it. They tell the creators like, look, we're making you millions of dollars a month, and we love you guys. And we have another method for you to make even more money, and that's through Night Ventures. And how this works is we take a portion of your funds and our funds, we pool it in called the Night Ventures LP, and we're going to go invest in the next great consumer product good company. That's how they're doing their stuff. Like crypto Web3 is small peanuts for them. They'll do the deals like on an advertising basis, but they won't build Web3 products. They don't give a shit.
Well, I mean,
at least not for another 3 years.
Looking at Mr. Beast as the outlier of outliers, like his ad, the cost of his ads became so great that he makes more money advertising his own product than taking advertising and endorsement deals. Like that is so far beyond anything that we like see in traditional like endorsement deals. Like it's almost insane.
Yeah, but you'd be shocked that like Kai Cenat is at Kai Cenat and Speed are now at nearing Mr. Beast level. Like Mr. Beast is the original, but there are people who are they're not near him yet, but they're at a level where they're also having a similar situation. Like Night Ventures is not going to risk the hundreds of millions of dollars that are going through their operations for a Web3 product. When I'll tell you what, they'll do that when one of these products makes $1 billion. Like when one of these actual companies makes real money outside of crypto, they will consider that. But this is why I tell you that like Web3 games are not going to be built by AAA publishers. Like it's just not, because a AAA publisher is going to spend $200 million on a budget, and they're not going to do that until they know someone else can make 100, 100 million, 200 million, 300 million first. It has to be someone in the indie space who's making a Web2 indie game that's really cool. It realizes it works with Web3 in some native way, or it's a Web3 native. And then once enough money is made, these publishers will then unlock their budgets and go in. Unless it's a mobile gaming studio like Zynga, they'll try some stuff. But that's how it is for every industry. When you're at the level of Coca-Cola, you don't deal with fucking whatever base level drinks that no one's ever heard of. You wait for someone else to get big and then you buy them.
Yeah, I was wondering if I can go ahead and come in on that, because I think you're 100% right there. All of it comes back to execution. We do, we work in the marketing space, specifically work with a couple NFT companies. And the biggest thing we saw, because now we talk to senators in the state of Arkansas to do some crypto and Bitcoin activism. And the one thing they always talk about is nobody actually speaks to the benefits of what the technology is. And it's all techie to them. So they don't care. And so what you were just referring to is like, nobody's going to risk putting tons of money into something where they don't know there's already a win. And it's going to take somebody like Doc, which is why he executed so well on the value add and spoke only to the benefits of his product, which made it good. Like everyone loves it. Like the Doc is the two-time, right? And it was a clear win for his audience to be involved in this project. In this case, like the whole thing is just failed execution, not only from the creator standpoint, but communication of not really speaking to the value add of what the person that was going to buy this thing was getting, getting back to that. The Doc did it the right way because like, Bryson was just talking about, which is he stood his ground, he clearly stated his position, and he spoke directly to his consumer base, right? Because that's what it is, to the benefits of what they were getting with the product that they were purchasing. You don't have to be techie or speak techie or even mention NFTs or whatever. Patrick Mahomes launched Museum of Mahomes, and what did he call them? He called them digital collectibles, right? And what was it? It was basically like you buy an NFT and you might have a chance to get a signed football from him, a trip with him, like a personal day with him, signed jerseys, etc. Like all he did was cut out the trading card companies, and he cut out the middleman and went directly to his consumer. And people were like, yeah, absolutely, I'll buy that. You have this case here with the Creator League, going back to that, quickly, but the situation was they didn't speak directly to what they were trying to get across, the benefits, the value add, and you don't have to do it in a techie way. You use your creators to do that. And I think that's what you guys helped nailed here. The strongest point was, yeah, maybe the creators weren't the best choice in the case that they were chosen. Nobody knows the details behind that. Obviously some communication mishaps here. But I think this is where the creators that are chosen have the biggest value add to the space. Doc is a great case study on this because they can directly speak to the people that already trust them, the people that are like, oh, maybe there's something here because maybe I've been missing something. And you already cross a huge gap in the market that nobody's been able to do so yet. That I think is the biggest point here. And again, it's all marketing. You're going to have to learn this. We talk to a lot of people about this all the time.
The good news in Arkansas is half their constituents are cornfields, so should be easier in Arkansas.
Yeah, it's really hard, actually. It's really hard.
Jokes aside, I'm sure there's many great people in Arkansas, but you set it up for me, and like any good volley deserves a follow through. We're gonna go to the guy with the shades. And are you a meerkat or a dog? What is that? What's that PFP?
It's a famous fox, bro.
I can't tell that he's covered, so I couldn't see.
I'm offended. You don't even know what a famous fox is.
I don't have my Solana encyclopedia. I apologize.
Sorry, guys. Hey, welcome. Thanks for bringing me up. I just wanted to chat a little bit about the Creators League because it's really, really close to home. I'm actually operating a Dota 2 league of my own with almost like an exact same format. And we're like doing it all in Web 2 at the moment, but we're looking to build it on chain. And I actually know these eFuse guys pretty well, as they're like, I used to work at Esports Engine, which is a very similar esports production company. And
Esports Engine. Oh, they just had. Were you a part of the layoffs, or you left beforehand?
I was a part of the layoffs. Yes.
I'm sorry to hear that. So,
no,
esports,
cool.
for people who don't know, Esports Engine's an awesome group.
They weren't listening to me about blockchain. I was the crazy crypto
they're not
guy
awesome.
there.
Sorry.
So, well, yeah, a lot of people in esports are looking for better ways to monetize, and I think blockchain.
Well, Vindex isn't really going to help.
Exactly.
Bullish on the crazy crypto guy.
Here's an idea. We're
so
gonna
they're not
we're
gonna
gonna
help.
take stuff people aren't watching, and we're gonna put it in a Crocs store. That should work. That's gonna get our money back. Sorry. I know enough about esports that I can make a joke. Keep going.
Yeah, all good. Yeah, I think you guys were speaking like obviously the creators chosen were poor. I think the fact with the one guy who pulled out yesterday, I was like, oh, no big deal. Like content creator wasn't paying attention, got offered a bunch of money. Sure, I'll take it. But when I saw that like OTK maybe didn't know, that was like super surprising to me and like gigantic red flags. I'm really interested to kind of follow the story and see where it goes. But I think that one of the things that I found about crypto is I feel like you almost have to start from scratch and you kind of have to build up together with your community from the very beginning. I find it very difficult or challenging for like large IPs to kind of enter and do it well and for it not to be seen as like a big cash grab. So I almost feel like this thing was like too big and they should have done something a little more low key. Maybe hyper focused on like a particular game would be my suggestion. I think Counter-Strike 2 would be
They kind of
great
are
example.
though. I don't know. Did you see so it's mainly, which is this actually I give Creator League. And by the way, I've worked with disclosure, and I said this earlier. I worked with eFuse. I've paid eFuse a fair amount of money. I've done deals with them, and I know some of their staff, and I've met them, and I've met Matt in real life. He's actually a really nice guy. So I like eFuse. So I'm biased. Hopefully they didn't do
He
anything
is a
wrong
nice
here.
guy.
We like them too. I think everybody likes them.
Cool. We're all on the same page. And again, we have no idea what they did or didn't do, but I just had a stroke. Keep going.
No, it's unfortunate that it feels like it's kind of unraveling, but I think once we get to like the execution of it all, I think people will understand the benefits. So I really appreciate them just kind of going through hopefully just plowing through all the negative sentiment and just getting it right.
Can you tell us about your league real quick? So like Dota is massive. I mean, that's a huge community, especially like in a lot of emerging markets. I'm just curious, like, and we'll go back to this topic in a second. I'm just curious with you, how do you go about doing that? I mean, I assume since Valve is so open source now with CS2 coming out, you're allowed to have prize pools over a certain amount. I remember when we wanted to, when we tried to do Valorant and they wouldn't let us do a prize pool over 10,000 without their signage.
Well, you're working with the wrong companies because that's the great thing about Valve is they just don't care. Like it's all just free reign for CSGO and Dota. So you can
No, it's not. Well, we did it. So what you're doing in Web3, we did it a year ago at Smiles, and I know what the contracts were, and they were like, because it's crypto, you can't do it for over 10,000. So I don't know. It's probably because you're in a more open source game.
100%. That's what I'm trying to say. Like that's the beauty of building on Valve games is like they're not going to come after you unless you're maybe making like billions of dollars. But even then, I mean, that's a first world problem at that point, I think. But that's the beauty of building over here is like you feel comfortable to invest. That's why ESL has done so much for Counter-Strike the past 10 years or even like I don't know how long they've been around, but they've felt comfortable like setting up like multi-year long deals with partners and feeling comfortable that they could fulfill those promises. So it's a great place to build. My league pretty low key, but it's all Web 2 at the moment, but we're gonna.
I think I know what you need. I think you need to build a league with a bunch of massive creators and add NFTs to it. And but don't tell anyone. Then I need you to go get a deal with Mr. Beast and get a really great creator like Bryson to talk about it. I think that's how you should build this.
Yeah, so I think the next iteration of what they should probably do is make them all like tradable, right? And create like a marketplace where they could exchange.
They were working on that.
It's a great way to monetize the interest that comes in and the interest that goes out. At my league, we have like different essentially communities. Some are like individual like whales essentially that just bought their own teams, but others are like more collectives that are participating. We actually got I joined a DAO and pitched them and got them involved, which was kind of cool. They just manage a roster throughout the season, and the players they all sign up as individuals, and we do like a fantasy football draft, and we do redrafts between each tournament.
Okay, what you should do is you should get Jonah instead of Bryce because Bryce is too nice, and Jonah will actually argue, and he's like, arr! And he'll like fucking argue with people.
The problem with me is I'm not brand safe, so I would be careful with me personally.
Okay, so
I personally would not sponsor me if I'm going to be
honest. So here's a funny thing. So Jonah was trying to get a deal for something, right? and he was like, "Hey, can we compare you guys to Prime Energy?" And they wrote on the contract, "Do not mention Prime
Yo,
Energy" to him,
yeah,
and still
but-
gave it to Jonah.
dude, in the contract, dude, I was just joking. We had a call. I won't say who, but we had a call with a massive company, and I said, "Man, I think I know how to really message this. What if we compare you to Logan Paul on Prime Energy?" And they said, "No, we don't really want to do that." But they did the deal with us anyway. In the contract, and I sent it to Anto. It said in like bright bold letters, "Do not talk about Prime Energy in the campaign."
Yeah,
We were laughing so hard.
Yeah, so Ari, what's up? How are you, my friend? What is your
Hi.
opinion?
I was like, I messaged the thread and I said I was so far removed from like Web3 and influencer activities that this was all like news that I caught up on because of your space. It was so informative. So thank you so much. Because, I joined the boomer world and all we do is production and we just make the stuff that's cool now. So we don't really like have much involvement in the actual other side, which is cool to learn about. But yeah, I was like confused. What's like eFuse's involvement in this besides launching it? Like, are they the ones
They're doing all the
controlling?
production. They own it's basically their deal for the most part. They own the production. They are making the content. It gets distributed through Esports GG and a couple of other channels, and it's their tech stack on what they call Mint GG MYNT. So
Cool.
I'm pretty sure it's their thing. They're just they're not going to brand it the eFuse Creator Cup because like just realistically speaking, eFuse is not a name that normal people know, but they know
Yeah.
Mr. Beast and they know what a creator is. So it makes sense that they're not going to brand it as their thing.
Well,
Okay.
in
Oh,
the Mr. Beast ad, there was literally a eFuse logo.
Well, he did. Yeah, he did say eFuse. That was, dude. If I was the CEO of eFuse, if I was Matt, I'd be like, dude, I fucking made it, dude. Having Mr. Beast with like he's just crushing Lamborghinis like they're Hot Wheels cars in the video, and he's like, also check out my friends at eFuse. I'd be sitting there like, dude, I fucking made it. Like Matt should take this as a huge. I don't care what fucking Men's Warehouse streamer says about fucking this thing. If you're a founder of any company and you get to a position where Mr. Beast is doing an ad for you, you're a fucking success. I don't want to hear any bullshit from what does Chamath Palihapitiya say? All right, you're not the man in the arena. All right, you're an anon who sits on the sidelines, and that's why you don't win, or something like that.
I mean, listen, if anybody in the audience is listening and wants to give me at least $5 million so I can run a Mr. Beast ad, hit me up. My DMs are open. What's up, Bryce?
No, I was just saying I got to drop.
Yeah,
Heading to
saying
dinner.
goodbye. He's in London doing
but-
I
London
appreciate
stuff.
you coming up, Bryce.
Yep.
Don't get. By the way, I've been to London. Don't get any cheeseburgers. You will get sick. They don't make.
I
good
don't
burgers.
eat meat. I don't eat like beef, so I'm
Oh,
good.
okay.
But we'll see what happens with the Creator League, guys. Thanks again.
Later on, dude.
You're gonna do
have a good
great.
rest
You
of your
did a
call.
good job, by the way.
Appreciate you.
All right, he's gotta go. He's gotta go be a success while we're here
Okay.
LARPing.
So yeah, so basically, Near Protocol, they gave eFuse what we know in the Web3 space as a grant to help onboard people. And eFuse is like, hey, let's run a Twitch Rivals type of event to make this happen, which I don't think is the worst idea. It's like pretty good, right? People love gaming, and that's how you get the most visibility. Because like, what are all these other brands doing to onboard people, right? But the problem is like, someone along the way of making that happen didn't tell the truth or wasn't transparent about what was actually happening. So that's why we're here. That's what happened, Ari.
I imagine I just don't like. I'm not even mad at C-Dog because I get why he did it. I just don't know why he was chosen. Like his audience is not gaming at all. I don't think you're gonna get a translation from Bloons Tower Defense 6 and fucking Terraria into like UEFN. I don't and all of his. I just looked at his Twitch and his YouTube. He's just doing. He's an IRL streamer, which is fine. Like that's great content, but that doesn't resonate to fucking gaming. I think someone in the stack made a poor choice on creators here. Like C-Dog did not have to be in this event. He was not meant for this.
So I'm curious, who would have been your like S or A tier replacement?
Tens, fucking tens.
Okay,
would love
Valor.
tens.
Yeah.
And where is he? He's not here.
No, he's not.
Or someone from dude, give me.
I would.
Dude, you know what
I would pick a Counter Strike. Oni Pixel.
Oh, dude, Oni Pixel, dude, he would slap, straight slap. He'd be perfect for this.
I would give him 1,000 loot boxes and call it a day.
That's all he wants. I don't even think he wants money. I don't think he even takes USD. I think he just takes CS.
He just
Dude,
takes.
does he just
will
take
work for
CS:GO
CS:GO
boxes?
boxes.
I think he would, because he makes so much money on the fucking Twitch ads that he probably would just take money in CS:GO boxes.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm actually getting paid in boxes. I have to compete in that rec league tournament next week, and they're not even giving me money. They're like, "Here's some boxes," so I will also take boxes.
I think top of
I
my
mean,
list might have
listen.
been like, I don't know about audience overlap, but somebody like Timmy going the 100 Thieves route.
Well, I know for a fact they were trying to get him because, again, I've known about this for over a year, and I know that was a discussion. So I think he probably said
Okay.
no.
Well, yeah, they're going
If
the
I had
100
to, by the
Thieves
way, I
route.
have no inside information about this. I'm just saying my guess is he said no.
I feel like 100 Thieves
It seems like they just
bit more cohesive, like along the lines of an Optic Gaming than maybe OTK.
Well, you don't have to go to Tim. You can just go to his the Dallas group, but he probably has special say because I think he's a part owner now. I have to ask. I forget.
I'm sure they knocked on all the doors, right? I'm sure they tried to get the best package they possibly could, and this is just what they settled on.
They got great people like Mr. Beast promoting it. I mean, speed is great. And dude, if they could have gotten Kai, dude,
yeah,
if they
Speed
could have
was
gotten
so good,
Kai
right?
Cenat.
He was promoting that other multiverse.
Wait, what do you mean? I don't know that whole thing. What's that?
He had a
when he was
rather
in Dubai
controversial.
and
I know about
I
Show Meet. That's all about. I know.
No, when he was in Dubai trying to meet Ronaldo or some shit, and some other people were trying to make him promote this other meta.
What, Gamers 8 or whatever?
No, some like metaverse with like tokens and GTA 5 and.
Oh, that thing. Yeah, but he got blasted though, and he learned his lesson for like a day.
Do you think this is more of a case of they were trying to sell an orange and telling people to open it up with a spoon? Like, this blockchain and NFTs actually matter in this type of event? Could it have been something different?
I don't think it even matters unless there's a marketplace.
It's not about what matters. It's like, forget about what matters. This is like, everyone tries to make blockchain like matter. Like, does going to see a movie matter? No. It's like, who has it's the saying is, he who has the gold makes the rule. If a certain chain is going to give you X dollars, then you make the content on that chain. As long as the content is not damaged by the chain in terms of a technical ability, then it doesn't matter. It's like when Siemens or Cisco like, no one fucking says Rocket League by Cisco and they're like, "Oh, well, I prefer Zoom, so why the fuck are we using Cisco?" No one fucking cares, right? Or they go, why is the league backed by Siemens instead of T-Mobile? Well, no one fucking cares. It's still mobile networking and infrastructure. No one gives a fuck. It's about who's paying the most money. And I think it's totally okay to take money from a chain as long as you're making good content that your users actually like. And by the way, people clearly want this. They like the idea. I will bet if you I don't know access to their data, but I would bet they've made a fair amount on sales for these passes because it was promoted by Mr. Beast. So here's the thing. If we find out that Mr. Beast advertised this and the CTR was dog shit, then we know people don't want that product, and then you stop making that product.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think that, yeah, like you said, in this case, then it was just execution on the creator side of having those conversations.
Well, maybe just so many creators don't want to do it that's what they were left with. That's the only.
I mean, they were left some
A-tier
pretty good
people.
ones. It's just the Sea Dog one makes no sense. But we're like,
Bella Porch is a great product market fit.
Well,
for,
Bella
this
Porch
promotion.
at least makes good music videos. Like, I watch her stuff. I mean, she's cute. Maybe I'll shoot my shot one day.
She's just such a great product market fit for a creator league involving these Fortnite with clicks, right? I think clicks was a good.
Well, clicks, yeah. Well, because click makes sense.
But his audience is still like relatively.
You know who would have been good? Nick A30.
Yeah, because that would have been amazing.
Fortnite.
Right, Nick A30 would have been such a brand advocate to all the people watching him.
all those kids,
all the kids
NFTs,
watching him.
It was almost like he could save the kids.
Here we go.
Okay. Anyway, on that note, I think we should end it here. Anyone have any final words before we log off? Because I'm not here to beat a dead horse. We already got it.
Okay, listen. If anybody has $5 million and wants to run an ad on Mr. Beast's channel, I will only take a $1,000 fee to make that happen. So
I will dress up as Mr. Beast and do your ad for half the price.
I like Creators League a lot. I wish them a lot of success. I'm bullish on the idea. I wish they would adopt it to be a little bit more targeted towards certain communities and less general. So, but thanks for having me up there.
They should have signed with the Pudgy Penguins. That was their rookie mistake.
Because they
that
have
would
so
be
much
cool.
distribution, right?
I've just been asking the 10-year-olds who the best Fortnite creators.
No, do not get Fortnite creators, okay? They're kids. They're still kids. They might have grown up, but they're still like 18. And like,
That's adult. They're legally an adult.
oh, okay.
Maybe
They're
not
allowed in the
mentally.
casino.
Yeah, I would say just don't forget to overall stop educating, and then remember that we have to meet the consumer where they are. And if right now they're in a negative spot, we have to meet them there. And you just can't stop educating and be like, well, you know, they're never going to get it. They're ignorant, right? It took a long time for a lot of these other technologies to get adopted. We're in the same spot now. Like gaming's no different. So we just got to keep doing it. Somebody's got to do it, and if nobody does it, then it's not going to happen.
I mean, listen. Do people complain about Doc? Do people complain about Starbucks? Do people complain about?
I complain about Starbucks, dude. I paid $18 for 2 pumpkin
No,
spice
not the
frappuccinos
company,
yesterday.
not the company. The Polygon.
I got a fucking word with Starbucks.
Okay, on Polygon. Starbucks on Polygon. No, okay. So like, just make better products. Make shit people want.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
$13 for a real bad sandwich is not a good deal, though. I'm with Jonah.
Well, hold up. I go there for the bacon, sausage, and cheese. It's the frappuccinos that are overpriced, but I buy them anyway because I'm a fucking idiot. Anyway, that's it. That's the takeaway you should have. I'm turning the red button on now, and I'm gonna go play games and make a video and farm for clicks. Bye.
We will